This video can certainly serve as a guide for how to find and navigate this rather secret questline, but the main goal here is to do a deep dive into this very mysterious and perhaps crucial content that Larian put into early access. So even if you don't need a guide for the quest itself, stay tuned for some lore and also some theory crafting at the end. I would love to hear some of your guys' thoughts on everything that's going on. For more Baldur's Gate 3 content, make sure to hit that subscribe button and let me know if you enjoy this particular style of video. Let's jump right in. In the village of Moonhaven, now known as the Blighted Village, there's an abandoned apothecary shop to the left when you first walk in. If you enter the lower part of the building and look around the shop, you'll find an apothecary's ledger on the front desk. Reading this ledger will start a quest called Search the Cellar, revealing to you that there is a cellar somewhere in this room that could be worth finding. Behind the desk, you'll find a wooden hatch allowing you to enter this cellar, which will contain much more than you may expect. In the cellar, you'll notice many bookcases and a lot of medical equipment scattered about, and this is where the game really starts to reward players who take their time in examining everything. In one part of the room, there's a healer's log. Right now it doesn't mean much, it's just a doctor listing his patients, their injuries, and how he treats them, but reading it will eventually come in handy. Above this desk, you may notice a board with some odd writing on it. And after doing some digging, I figured out that this is the Thoras alphabet, which is the alphabet used by the majority of human languages on Faerun. If you take the board, flip it vertically, and then flip it horizontally, and then translate, you can make out the letters W-E-L-C-O-M-E. Welcome. The process of figuring this out was more exciting than the result, I have to say. The other boards in the room read as meat and vegetables, with a list of meats and vegetables, nothing really that important. In the back right corner of the cellar, you'll find a bookcase, and clicking on it will have your character do an investigation check. If successful, they will notice scratch marks on the floor. Perhaps this bookcase is more than just a bookcase. To the left of the bookcase, there are some boxes, and if you move the top one, you'll find a lever that slides the bookcase over, revealing a secret area. Let's check it out. In this mysterious cave-like area, you'll notice caskets in various places around the room, but be careful because most of them will have skeletons inside that will wake up, surprise your party, and then begin to wake up even more skeletons. The first casket to your right, however, does not have a skeleton in it, but instead it contains the first mysterious item, a scroll of summon quasit. This specific scroll will summon in a special NPC quasit by the name of Shovel. Some of you may be able to talk to Shovel while others may not. It seems like it's a little buggy with patch 6.
Oh, shit-pilling toe rag!
If you are able to talk to Shovel, Shovel will reveal to you that his previous master, Illy, was actually a necromancer. He tricks his patients, and when they die, Illy and Shovel raise them from the dead. You also learn that the only thing Illy truly cares about is the book. Shovel then tells you to go find this book, and to do this, we have to talk to the mirror. When you talk to the mirror, it will ask you,
"Speak your name."
Regardless of how you answer, it will say that it does not know that name, and then ask you to declare yourself an ally to its master. At this point, after talking to Shovel, we're assuming that this master is this Illy necromancer guy that Shovel mentioned. The mirror then says,
"Only a true ally of Ilintoth may pass."
So we now know the master's name is Ilin Toth, but unfortunately in Forgotten Realms lore, this character does not exist. The mirror then says,
"What think you of the Zolkir known as Szass Tam?"
This is obviously a test question, but there's actually a lot to talk about here. So Szass Tam is a powerful lich who rules the country of Thay, and if we take a look at this map of Faerun, you'll see Thay all the way in the east. Thay came about when a sect known as the Red Wizards declared their freedom from the god kings of Mulharand. The Red Wizards were a powerful group that owed much of their power to being cruel slavers, demonologists, and arcane experimenters. Eventually, the Red Wizards would form a council known as the Council of Zolkirs. This council was established to rule the nation of Thay, and only the most powerful of Red Wizards, one from each school of magic, were chosen to join this council. Szass Tam was the Zulkir of Necromancy. On a personal level, Szass Tam was actually known to be fairly calm, cultured, and pleasant for a lich, and he even admired those who were able to outsmart him. Like many liches though, he did seek more power, and he went on to kill many of the other Zulkirs and also reform the Zulkir Council with other powerful liches under his control. With his new power and army of undead creatures, he reshaped the country of Thay into the domain of undeath, and any remaining red wizards were either exiled or forced to join their new undead ruler. Back to the mirror, if your character then passes an intelligence history check, you'll remember stories of Szass Tam, a powerful lich who made deals with dark gods. So Szass Tam was also known for working with one of the dead three gods, Bane, the god of tyranny. And since we already know that we find ourselves on the center stage of a complot hatched by none other than the dead three, from Larian themselves, this may tie Szass Tam into the main plot of Baldur's Gate 3. I also want to note that Szass Tam can actually be met in Baldur's Gate 2's expansion Throne of Baal, and he also makes a brief appearance in the Black Pits 2 Gladiators of Thay. For this answer, you're certainly going to want to go with number 2, a foul lich, may he die 1,000 more deaths. Perhaps Ilin Toth was one of the exiled red wizards? Not really sure. Any other answer will result in the mirror sending out a flaming, exploding sphere that you cannot kill, so be careful. The mirror then goes on to ask you, why might one use balsam ointment? And of course, we're going to answer that you use balsam ointment to clean a wound because we read the healer's log in the earlier cellar room. The next question is, if you could see anything in me, what would it be? And you're going to want to answer with number 2, as the mirror will say that you seek to survive, you seek power, and that's an acceptable answer. Some of you may also get class-specific responses though. As you can see, I have a sorcerer response here, and that may also work. The mirror will then disappear and you'll enter what appears to be a laboratory. Searching this room, you'll find various books on raising the dead. In one particular book, the Moonhaven Logbook, will update your Search the Cellar quest to now say, the owner of the cellar was more than a doctor. He was a necromancer and he was obsessed with a particular book. If you didn't talk to Shovel before, this would be when you learn that Ilin Toth was not a nice doctor, he was a necromancer. In this logbook, you also learn that there was a raid on the village, and the book's key gem has gone missing. It's also noted that Shovel reported that Ilin Toth's apprentice disappeared near a well. Note taken. In the corner of the room closest to the mirror, you'll notice a room protected with large metal bars and a door. Peering into this cell, you'll see a book called The Necromancy of Thay. Now, there's several ways you can retrieve this book. Just be careful because the book is on a pressure plate, and when you remove it from its spot, the gargoyle traps will go off, sending firebolts at whoever is standing there. A couple examples of things that you can do are break the door and disable the gargoyle traps before picking up the book. You can place an object next to the book so when you pick it up, the pressure plates do not trigger. Or you can actually just stay completely outside of the room and use Mage Hand to move the book near the door, and then have a party member right-click on it to pick it up. When you attempt to read the book, this happens.
The book is locked tight with no visible keyhole, only an oval recess in the cover's mouth.
So you cannot open it yet because there's a missing gem, or so it seems. And you're given the option to drop the book, ready to destroy it, or you can put it away for later in case you find that missing stone. If you do destroy the book, you can only do so with radiant damage. And if you do this, the quest line will come to an end. That may have been a fairly wise choice for those of you who don't like to mess with really dark powers. But in this video, we of course like messing with dark powers. So at this point, we don't know where the missing gem is, but we do know from the Moonhaven logbook that Ilin Toth's apprentice disappeared near a well. So let's go find a well. Exiting the apothecary shop from the entrance that you came in, there is a well to the left. If you climb down the well, you'll find yourself in a dark cave, but there are many other entrances into this cave, such as from the basement of the building across from the apothecary. Right when you climb down, you'll see a skeleton, but no gem, so it's time to do some more searching. All the way in the back of the cave, you'll come to a more open area with lots of webs. This is the Spider Queen's area, and if you're not stealthy, you will have to fight her. Looking down, you can see something shiny on the ground. It appears to be a gem. And after you retrieve this dark amethyst by whatever means necessary, it's now time to place it in the oval recess of the Necromancy of Thay book.
The book's pull is irresistible. You feel changed, bettered for having opened it. Suddenly, you are capable of anything. Felling mountains, darkening suns, conversing with the dead. But what is sought in return? The glyphs swarm impatiently. The book wants you to turn the page, to delve deeper. Within the pages, you feel a feral thrashing, living magic driven mad by what it was used for. Necromancy. The magical energies of all living things were stolen, corrupted, and sealed in this vile book. It wants someone to share in its insanity.
So if you succeed in your saving throws, or in my case, the sorcerer charisma checks, the book will eventually close and not allow you to learn or see anymore. You will, however, have learned the Speak with Dead spell. If you failed in your saving throws, or one of them, you'll be cursed with an early access permanent debuff called Whispers of Madness, which gives you disadvantage on wisdom ability checks. So what did we get out of this book apart from learning the Speak with Dead spell? Well, we now know for a fact that this is an extremely powerful necromancy book, an artifact, and it contains very powerful dark magic. The book gave us a feeling of being capable of doing anything, felling mountains, darkening suns, and conversing with the dead. The voices you can hear while reading the book exist to protect the book, and these spirits, or whatever they are, seem to have the job of not allowing just anyone to read it. As Astarion says at one point, someone went through a lot of trouble to protect this tome. It has to be more than a book of cantrips. So it may feel a little underwhelming only getting the Speak with Dead spell for figuring all of this out, and also passing all of those tough ability checks while reading the book. But I would have to say that there's probably a lot more in store for this book later on in the game. Ilin Toth went through a lot to protect this book, and in the Moonhaven logbook you can see that he is constantly on the lookout for Thayan creatures, the land that Szass Tam rules. Perhaps the Great Lich Szass Tam himself is seeking this book, and if that's the case, we've gotten ourselves into more than we likely realize. Now I'm really going to get into some theory crafting, and this isn't really my specialty on the channel. Harbs Narbs is really good at that, so feel free to comment below on what you think of this theory. Long ago, there was a powerful wizard by the name of Fastrin the Delver. He was a benevolent ruler of an ancient kingdom in the Sunrise Mountains in East Faerun. One day, in an ancient tomb in the mountains, Fastrin uncovered a book dating back to the earliest ages of Toril. Within this tome were the specifics outlining the ritual of unmaking, a spell that could destroy all life on Toril and beyond. After reading this mysterious book, Fastrin started to lose his sanity, and then one day the book was stolen from him. Fastrin then convinced himself that the only way to prevent the unmaking from being unleashed was by killing any and everyone who could have possibly taken the book from him. In a mad state, Fastrin went on to devastate his own kingdom by slaughtering his people, and when he didn't find the book, he ended up taking his own life. And this brings us to Szass Tam, who revealed in Forgotten Realms lore that he found a book once in possession of Fastrin the Delver. With this book, Szass Tam of course wants to do the ritual of unmaking. He wants to destroy all life on Toril and have the undead take over the world and perhaps achieve some form of divinity. In 1478 DR, so just over 10 years before the events of Baldur's Gate 3, the Zulkirs in exile were killed, or so they say, but Szass Tam's ultimate plan of performing the ritual of unmaking still came to a halt. Now I can't find any information on what exactly caused the ritual to fail, but perhaps Ilin Toth was one of these Zulkirs in exile, and he somehow found a way to steal the book. Could the Necromancy of Thay tome that we have in our possession be this same book that contains the ritual of unmaking? A lot of things do line up, such as the book causing some who read it to go mad. It does give you that permanent debuff called Whispers of Madness. What doesn't necessarily line up is that in the Forgotten Realms lore, it's said that this Book of Unmaking was red. And it's kind of hard to tell if the Necromancy of Thay book is red, perhaps the colors might have faded, or maybe just the color red is not canon, so it doesn't really matter. Or maybe it's not the same book. And that'll be it for today's video. Any of you guys that might have read any books on Thay or have any input on this theory or just this topic in general, please let us know below in the comments. Definitely appreciate that. Some of you guys are probably more knowledgeable on this topic than I am. If you ended up enjoying this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. I greatly appreciate that, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.